They called her the Pacifist Sniper, the joke of Firebase Phoenix, the sniper who couldn't shoot. For 6 months, Jessica Chen's kill count remained at 0, while her spotter defended her to increasingly angry commanders. Then came the day that would earn her a different name. In 48 hours, she would become the most feared marksman in Taliban history. All because they killed the wrong person. Which sniper rifle do you like? Please mention it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Firebase Phoenix sat on a mountain ridge in eastern Afghanistan, a dusty outpost that overlooked 3 valleys known as the Triangle of Death. In late 2019, this base housed 43 soldiers, including the sniper team, that would become legend for all the wrong reasons. Lieutenant Jessica Chen and her spotter, Sergeant Marcus Torres, occupied the northern observation post every single day, watching, waiting, but never engaging. The story of Jessica Chen began long before Afghanistan, in the competitive shooting ranges of Texas, where her father trained her from age 7. By 15, she could hit a quarter from 500 yards. By 18, she had won every civilian marksmanship competition in the state. The Army recruiters who watched her at a demonstration in 2014 immediately fast-tracked her to sniper school. She graduated top of her class with scores that hadn't been matched in a decade. Her instructors predicted she would become one of the deadliest snipers in military history. But something happened to Jessica Chen between sniper school and Afghanistan. The exact details remain classified, but fragments of her psychological evaluations paint a picture of a woman struggling with the weight of her capability. She had trained her entire life to be perfect at one thing, ending lives from a distance. The closer she got to actually doing it, the more something inside her resisted. Marcus Torres became her spotter in January 2019. A decorated veteran with 3 tours already behind him, Marcus was known for his steady nerves and unshakable loyalty. Their partnership was supposed to last 6 months. Marcus would spot, Jessica would shoot, and together they would protect Firebase Phoenix from the constant Taliban threats in the valleys below. But from their very first mission, something was wrong. The first time Jessica refused to take a shot was on January 18, 2019. A confirmed Taliban commander walked directly into her crosshairs, 400 yards out, perfect conditions. Marcus called the wind, the distance, gave the green light. Jessica's finger rested on the trigger for 30 seconds. Then she whispered something Marcus would never forget. She said she could see his wedding ring glinting in the sunlight. The commander walked away alive. Marcus covered for her that day, reporting that wind conditions made the shot impossible, but it became a pattern. Every day they would take their position. Every day targets would present themselves. Every day Jessica would find a reason not to shoot. The sun was in her eyes. The wind was unpredictable. The target was moving too fast. Marcus filed false report after false report. Protecting the partner he was beginning to understand was fighting a war inside herself. By March 2019, the situation at Firebase Phoenix was becoming desperate. Taliban forces were growing bolder, moving closer to the base, testing defenses. Other units were taking casualties. The base commander, Colonel Richardson, started asking questions about why the sniper team hadn't recorded a single kill. He reviewed their reports, noticed the patterns, and grew suspicious. A sniper with perfect training scores who couldn't hit a single target in 2 months of combat was either incompetent or lying. The pressure on Marcus intensified. Other soldiers started calling Jessica names behind her back. The Pacifist Sniper, the conscientious objector, the joke. They said she was a coward, that she was going to get people killed, that she should be sent home in disgrace. Marcus defended her every time, sometimes with words, twice with his fists. He took a disciplinary action for breaking another soldier's nose who had suggested Jessica was a Taliban sympathizer. What nobody except Marcus knew was that Jessica could see everything through her scope with a clarity that haunted her. The ultra-high-powered optics didn't just show her targets, they showed her human beings. She saw Taliban fighters laughing at jokes, sharing food, writing letters. She watched them pray, saw them cry, observed them caring for wounded comrades. Every potential kill had a face, a story, a humanity that her training hadn't prepared her for. In April, Jessica started keeping a journal that was later recovered and partially declassified. Her entries revealed the torment of a soldier caught between duty and conscience. She wrote about watching a Taliban fighter teaching his younger brother how to clean a rifle, the same way her father had taught her. She described seeing an enemy combatant bandaging a stray dog's leg with tenderness that reminded her of her veterinarian mother. Every entry ended with the same line: "Marcus understands." Marcus Torres did understand, perhaps too well. His reports from this period, discovered during the investigation, show a man walking a tightrope between protecting his partner and protecting his base. He started identifying non-human targets for Jessica to shoot: equipment, vehicles, weapons caches. This allowed her to contribute without taking lives, and for a while it worked. Jessica became legendary for her ability to disable vehicles with single shots to critical components from impossible distances. By June 2019, the Taliban had noticed the sniper who wouldn't kill. Radio intercepts revealed they called her the Watcher, and some believed she was a spirit or jinn observing their sins. This supernatural fear actually protected Firebase Phoenix for a time. Taliban fighters would avoid certain areas, believing the Watcher's gaze brought bad luck even if her bullets didn't follow. The relationship between Jessica and Marcus deepened during these long months of watching and waiting. They spent 12 hours a day side by side, sharing stories, fears, and dreams. Marcus told her about his daughter in Texas, showed her pictures, read her letters from home. Jessica shared her struggle with the weight of her gift, the burden of being able to end lives so easily when she valued life so deeply. They developed a bond that transcended military protocol. In September, Colonel Richardson gave Jessica an ultimatum: take a kill shot within the week or face court-martial for dereliction of duty. The stress was visible on her face as she took position each day, Marcus beside her calling out targets she couldn't bring herself to engage. On the sixth day, she lined up a shot on a Taliban leader responsible for killing 3 American soldiers. Her finger touched the trigger. Marcus whispered encouragement. The crosshairs settled on the target's head, but she couldn't do it. That night, Marcus made a decision that would haunt him forever. He volunteered to take over as the primary shooter, with Jessica as his spotter. It was highly irregular, but Richardson approved it out of desperation. For the next 2 months, their roles reversed. Marcus took the shots, while Jessica called the wind and distance. Their kill count rose, but something in Jessica's eyes died a little more each day. December 13th, 2019, was unusually quiet. Radio intercepts had gone silent. No movement in the valleys. An eerie peace that made everyone nervous. Jessica and Marcus took their position as usual, but Jessica seemed different. She told Marcus about a dream she'd had, where all the people she hadn't killed were standing in a field, thanking her. Marcus told her she had saved souls on both sides by refusing to shoot. They didn't know they were being watched. The Taliban had spent weeks planning the attack. They had identified the sniper position, studied the patterns, waited for the perfect moment. They knew about the Watcher who wouldn't kill and her protector who would. Their plan was simple: kill the protector, capture the Watcher. They believed she had valuable intelligence about American operations. They were about to learn why some angels choose not to use their wings. December 14th started like any other day. Jessica and Marcus took their position at dawn, settling into their routine of observation. At 0947 hours, Jessica spotted movement in the eastern valley, a group of fighters moving through what they thought was a blind spot. Marcus confirmed the sighting and was adjusting his rifle when the first shot rang out. The Taliban sniper was good, but not perfect. The bullet meant for Jessica's head hit Marcus in the chest, punching through his body armor at an angle that found a gap. Marcus fell backward, blood spreading across the dusty ground. Jessica dropped her rifle and pressed her hands against the wound, screaming for a medic. Marcus grabbed her hand with his bloody fingers and whispered something that would change everything. He said to remember why she became a sniper in the first place: to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The medics arrived in 4 minutes, but it felt like hours. As they carried Marcus away on a stretcher, he was still conscious enough to mouth 3 words to Jessica. "Do your job." The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Jessica picking up her rifle, her hands steady despite the blood covering them. The transformation had begun. Jessica Chen returned to her scope at 0958 hours. The Taliban sniper who shot Marcus was still in position, probably waiting for another shot. Jessica found him in 12 seconds, 47 yards out, partially concealed behind rocks. She calculated wind, elevation, and trajectory in her mind faster than any computer. At 0959, she took her first kill shot in 6 months. The bullet hit the enemy sniper in the exact spot where he had shot Marcus. It was surgical, deliberate, and the beginning of something terrible. What happened over the next 48 hours would be studied in sniper schools for generations. Jessica Chen became death incarnate, moving through Firebase Phoenix's various positions like a ghost. She didn't sleep, didn't eat, barely drank water. She just moved, positioned, and fired. Every shot was a kill. Every kill was for Marcus. The Taliban fighters who had participated in the attack became her primary targets. Using intelligence from intercepted communications and drone footage, she identified 31 fighters involved in planning or executing the ambush that shot Marcus. She hunted them with a methodical precision that terrified even her own command. Her shots came from impossible angles, at impossible distances, in impossible conditions. The first day, she killed 17. Each shot was recorded by base surveillance, showing Jessica making calculations and adjustments that should have taken minutes in mere seconds. She hit moving targets at 1,200 yards. She shot through gaps in walls barely wide enough for a bullet. She curved shots using wind patterns that weather equipment said shouldn't exist. One kill was confirmed at 1,847 yards through a sandstorm that should have made targeting impossible. The Taliban tried to flee the area, but Jessica anticipated their escape routes. She positioned herself at different points around the base, creating a 360-degree kill zone that turned the valleys into a death trap. Radio intercepts from this period are filled with panic, fighters arguing about which routes were safe, commanders ordering retreats that ended in sudden silence. They started calling her something else now, Shaitan's Eye, the Devil's Eye. The second day saw 14 more kills, each one more impossible than the last. Jessica shot a driver through a 2-inch gap in armor plating while the vehicle was moving at 40 miles per hour. She eliminated a fighter hiding in a cave by ricocheting a bullet off 3 rock surfaces. She took out a commander surrounded by human shields by shooting through a tent fabric gap that appeared for half a second when the wind blew. Base personnel watched in awe and horror as the Pacifist Sniper became an avenging angel. She spoke to no one, acknowledged no one, just moved between positions with mechanical efficiency. The only time she showed emotion was when someone brought her updates on Marcus's condition from the medical tent. He was critical but stable, unconscious but alive. By the morning of December 16th, Jessica had eliminated every fighter involved in the attack on Marcus. The valleys around Firebase Phoenix were silent. Taliban forces had pulled back beyond maximum rifle range, some units retreating over 3,000 yards from the base. But Jessica's mission wasn't complete. She had one more target, the commander who had ordered the attack. Intelligence indicated he was hiding in a compound 2143 yards from the base, beyond the effective range of her rifle. Jessica spent 3 hours calculating what everyone said was impossible. Wind patterns at different altitudes, the Earth's rotation, barometric pressure, humidity, even the heat shimmer from the desert floor. At 1347 hours, she took the shot. The bullet flew for 4.2 seconds, rising and falling in a perfect arc that defied physics. It passed through a window, traveled down a hallway, and struck the Taliban commander as he sat in what he thought was perfect safety. The shot was so impossible that conspiracy theories still circulate, claiming it was actually a drone strike. But the base cameras recorded everything: Jessica's rifle recoil, the bullet's vapor trail, and 4.2 seconds later, confirmation of the kill. At 13:48 hours on December 16, 2019, Lieutenant Jessica Chen set down her rifle and walked to the medical tent. She sat beside Marcus Torres's bed, took his hand, and waited. She didn't move for 18 hours until Marcus finally opened his eyes. The first thing he said was asking if she was okay. She replied that she remembered why she became a sniper. The aftermath of those 48 hours rippled through military command. Jessica's kill count of 31 in 2 days with 100% accuracy was unprecedented in sniper history. More disturbing to command was how she had done it. Shots that ballistics experts said were impossible, timing that suggested supernatural awareness, and a complete transformation from pacifist to apex predator, triggered by a single emotional event. The psychological evaluation that followed revealed something extraordinary. Jessica's refusal to shoot for 6 months hadn't been weakness or cowardice. It had been preparation. Her mind had spent those months observing, calculating, learning every micro-pattern of wind, light, and movement in the valleys. When she finally decided to shoot, she had 6 months of accumulated data that turned her into something beyond a sniper. She had become the battlefield itself. Marcus Torres recovered fully and was awarded the Purple Heart. In his testimony, he revealed that Jessica had confided in him weeks before the attack, that she was saving her shots for when they really mattered. She somehow knew that a moment would come when lives would depend on her ability to do what nobody else could. She had been right. The Taliban's fear of Jessica Chen became so intense that they abandoned operations in 3 provinces where she might be deployed. Intelligence reports described fighters refusing orders to enter areas where the Devil's Eye might be watching. Some Taliban units created elaborate rituals to ward off her gaze, carrying mirrors to reflect her scope's glint, never gathering in groups larger than 2, moving only during sandstorms. Jessica Chen never took another combat deployment. After leaving Afghanistan in February 2020, she became an instructor at the Army Sniper School, teaching a new generation of marksmen not just how to shoot, but when not to shoot. Her course, officially called Advanced Engagement Decision-Making, is known informally as the Chen Doctrine, the idea that the shots you don't take are as important as the ones you do. The classified portion of Jessica's file contains a final note from Colonel Richardson that reads, "Lieutenant Chen proved that mercy and lethality are not opposites, but complementary forces. Her restraint created the conditions for her effectiveness. When she finally acted, she had become something we've never seen before, a sniper who shoots with the accumulated precision of every bullet she didn't fire." Marcus Torres and Jessica Chen remained close friends. Marcus named his second daughter Jessica, and Chen was there for her birth in 20. They don't talk about those 48 hours in December, but Marcus keeps a photo on his desk from Firebase Phoenix. It shows him and Jessica at their sniper position, looking through their scopes at an empty valley. The photo was taken on December 13, 2019, the last day of peace before Jessica Chen reminded the world why some warriors choose silence. The official record lists Jessica Chen as having 31 confirmed kills, all within a 48-hour period, making her one of the most lethal snipers in American military history. But those who served with her remember the 6 months of zeros, the sniper who wouldn't shoot, and they understand a truth that statistics can't capture. Jessica Chen saved more lives by not shooting for 6 months than most snipers save by shooting for 6 years. She proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the one you fire, but the one you hold in reserve until the moment when mercy ends and justice begins. The Taliban still tell stories about the Devil's Eye, warning young fighters about the sniper who sees all but shoots only when the crime demands it. They don't know that Jessica Chen hasn't touched a rifle since 2020, that she spends her days teaching philosophy and ethics at West Point, or that she still has nightmares about those 48 hours when she became everything she had tried not to be. But Marcus Torres knows. And in his latest letter to Jessica, posted just last month, he wrote something that captures the paradox of her service. "You showed me that the strongest warriors are those who choose not to fight until fighting becomes the only way to protect what matters. Thank you for not shooting for 6 months. Thank you for shooting for 2 days. Thank you for knowing the difference."